Alright guys, so we are getting ready to leave work here. We on Jazz. I'm going to do a review on Jazz. I haven't done a review on Road King yet. I've kind of talked about it in videos, but let's do a review on it, shall we? Let's dive into it. All right guys, as we get out here to the end of the new road that was built coming into the park. Oh, welcome to this episode of Rolling with T-Bone. If you're new here, welcome in. My name's T-Bone. I shoot motorcycle related content and any kind of content really. If you are new here, I invite you to go check out a few of my videos. Give them a watch, and if you think I might be right for you, consider giving me a like, subscribe, share, all that cool stuff. But be sure to watch it, because I'm not for everyone, and I'm not deluded enough to think that I am for everyone. But anyway, if you're old here, welcome back. You know what's going on. As we're rolling out on Jazz, of course, Jazz being the 2000 Road King, Evo Road King, or Twin Cam Road King. Man, I'll tell you guys, before we get into the review, I didn't realize 2024 was going to go off the rails kind of like it did. But as of right now, I'm just going to say the 24th, the August the 24th meetup isn't looking good for me. I know Recycled Hooligan was saying he didn't think he could make it. Georgia Hillbilly, me and him talked. He's got some stuff going on. He's not sure if he's going to be able to make it. And with everything going on with me, I'm not sure I want to go that far away from home for a long all-day thing. So I don't know. I'll see if anything's different here in a couple of weeks. We get a little bit closer to it. But it ain't looking good right now. But anyway, I just didn't expect things to go off the rails like they did. I don't think any of us did, really, because a lot of us has had stuff happen. You know, unexpected stuff happens, things, you know, life happens. It's, you know, that's just kind of the way it goes. Life happens. But anyway, I've actually got another video in my camera that was shot what would have been this past Sunday. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it or not. It's a shorter video, but one of the reasons I'm not sure is because I'm not sure I want to share it. A brother of mine went down on his motorcycle Sunday. I didn't record it. I didn't have the camera running when he went down, but I had been recording just right before, and I had tried to shoot an outro for the video, but I don't know. I'll have to let future T-Bone decide. If I do, it may just be a Thursday drop. But anyway, to the meat and potatoes of today's episode, the Road King. Last week's video I had put out about Road Kings taking over, and there's a lot of people related to my channel, subscribers and friends and brothers and sisters of the channel, who ride Road Kings. So I haven't gave a honest review of the Road King. So I thought, you know what, now would be a great time to cover that. All right, let's see if we can get out of here. Now, the one thing I have learned trying to shoot this video and thinking about this episode of the review for the Road King, this bike you can pretty well much make your own pros and cons on. And what I mean by that is there's different variations of this bike. So if you were going to do a cons list, you would just put your own cons in, because overall this bike rides amazing. I'm not sure I've ever ridden a more comfortable motorcycle that you could just throw down miles on and be fine when you get off of it. You know, the Road King kind of is a mid-size cruiser. Not, in my opinion, not a full-size touring bike like a Ultra, a Road King, Road Glide, Street Glide. But it's just a beefier cruiser, I think is how I said it last week. So, I mean, this bike's comfortable. Now, cons for people. One of the cons, sorry about that, had a bug's back getting pushed. Whew. Some of the cons for people, believe it or not, on these is it comes down to just the simple things that are on the Road King, like windshield, no windshield, leather bags or hard bags. This Road King has the hard bags on it. Most of the Road King classics I've noticed have the leather bags on them, hard bags. But Jazz has the hard plastic hard bags on it, and I love the plastic hard bags. I actually, personally, myself, think they look better. I'm not a big fan of the leather bags on the Road King. I just, you know, Road King classics, when they don't have all of the chrome stuff around the saddlebags, don't look bad. They look okay for that, but for a bike that's chromed out and got everything on it, I think the hard bags just look better. Windshield versus non-windshield, handlebars, do you go ape hangers, do you go beach bars? These bars that are on this bike are the RS Special bars that come with the Road King Special, and I'm actually good with these bars. These bars aren't uncomfortable to me. You know, they allow me to lean forward, they allow me to lean back. Probably that would be a con for people. They would rather have ape hangers on them, and I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I've ridden, Milkman had a Road King, he had apes on his. I rode it, you know, it didn't make the ride terrible or anything. But the other con would probably be, for me, would be comfort. This one has the factory RS seat on it, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this seat is comfortable. This, you know, a lot of times I find that the stock stuff that Harley Davidson puts on their motorcycles, except for the Sportsters. Now the Sportsters, some of the seats that they put on the Sportsters, my whole butt goes numb, and then when my butt goes numb, my back goes numb, then my legs go numb. Some of them are just not comfortable, but this seat that's on this Road King is comfortable. And I'm not one for doing away with functionality over looks. If a part's functioning the way it's supposed to and it's just not horrible looking, I'm not against it. Now Jazz now has, as you saw in the opening, a sissy bar. When I first got her, she didn't have a sissy bar, then I added a sissy bar. And for myself, the only other thing I think that I'm going to probably end up adding is going to be a crash bar in the front, because Jazz did not come with a crash bar. And I like the mustache style crash bar that I put on Big Papa. So I'm thinking about getting the same kind of crash bar to put on Jazz. I think it's a good looking crash bar, and of course they serve a purpose, and it would allow me to put my feet up when I'm on longer rides. Now, one of the cons for the Road King, and I've heard other people talk about this, is the seat width. At the front of the seat, how wide it is for the inner thighs. For some reason, Jazz's feels fine to me, and it may be because of the floorboards, the way the floorboards are positioned. Because I have sit on Road Kings where I was just automatically, it just spread me out too wide. But now that is something that you can change with the seat change. I do know that. And I know ride heights from the factory. The Road King sets up a little higher. So I know a lot of people like to lower the rear ends a little bit, lower the, you know, maybe not lower the front end so much, but I know they like to lower the rear ends on them a little bit to get them closer to the ground. I don't have the specs, and I'm not going to look up the specs, but the specs are out there. So that would be another con. One of the other cons would be gas mileage. Just in town, cruising around. Gas mileage on a twin cam is good once if you're set for interstate travel. And Jazz on longer runs gets great fuel mileage. But with the 2-into-1 Vance and Hines header and the other little stuff that's been done, just putting around town, Jazz will get rid of some fuel. But now I noticed on longer rides, she actually gets decent gas mileage. So she's built for being out on the highway and going on. So that would be a con if you were looking at getting a Road King to make your constant everyday ride. You might factor that in as well. Probably one of the only other con that I have that I could see with the bike would be being sluggish, I guess. But you got to think, although this is not a full-size dresser, this is a heavier, probably about 250 pounds heavier, maybe even 300 than a cruiser. You know, where like your Dyna goes at about 600 pounds, maybe a little more. This bike right here is probably going to be close to 799, 800 pounds wet. So don't keep that in mind. Even though it don't have the fairing and all that stuff on it, it's still a heavy motorcycle. So now last week, I think it was last week's video, I think so, I had talked about, you know, trading up. Would I recommend you getting a Road King? Absolutely. And I also said in that video that I would not be able to see myself without a Road King going forward, I believe. But the pros far outweigh the cons as far as I'm concerned. Now again, this is just my review of the Road King. Comfort, a pro. Sound is a pro. There's a lot of pros. Just overall looks, I think the bike is a beautiful bike. Like I said, personally, I like the ones with the hard bags on them. A lot of people like the classics with the leather bags. That again is one of those things that I think just comes down to personal preference, what your personal choice is. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely, absolutely 100% recommend, if you were going to get a Road King, to get one. I mean, if you were thinking about it, I would say look at them long and hard. You know, do your own research on it so you can make your own educated choice about whether you want to own a Road King or not. And the only reason I say that is because I know guys who have went out and bought like road glides and street glides and big ultra classics, and by the end of the day they're tired, they're wore out, they're, you know, they're tired of riding all the time, I guess is what, you know, dealing with the weight. But of course, you know, then there's other guys who's got Road King or road glides and street glides and ultra classics, and they're fine with them. They don't have any issue whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to personal choice, and like I said, I think you would serve yourself better to take some time, study it, look into them, look them up, and you know, ask questions. Now, I had also said something about, you know, if you've got a bike sitting around that you're not riding for whatever reason, trade it up for a Road King. Now, of course, if you've got an old motorcycle, chopper or whatever, or just a bike sitting in the garage that you don't ride. Of course, you can trade it up for a brand new motorcycle if your dealership goes along with that. But I would almost say get you an older Road King and ride it for a while. You know, if you're trading up old for old, you know, trade up, ride it for a while, and then if it's something that you think you're really going to enjoy, then if you wanted to go to a newer model Road King, then, you know, make that choice then to go to the newer model Road King. You know, but I was just using the trading as an example. That's something you could do, you know, or if you've got the billfold to do it, you know, if you want to just buy you a Road King straight out, buy you a cheaper Road King offline, and ride it around for a while. And if you like it, again, you know, you'll sell it. These bikes sell. I watch them pop up on Facebook Marketplace all the time, and as long as they're not asking just straight up unreasonable prices for them, they usually sell them pretty quick. They usually move out pretty easy. So, you know, even if you got stuck with it for a little while, you know, damn the luck. But this is one of those platforms, the Road King, to me, and again, this is just my personal opinion, but to me, the Road King is another one of those platforms like the Sportster. You know, you can get the base model or any model of the Road King, and you can really turn it into what you want it to be. And I think that's one of the biggest things that the Road King's got going for it. Me personally, I mean, close to stock. It don't have to be stock, but I know some people just aren't stock fans of any motorcycle being stock. And hey, you know, that's your own personal choice. But personally, I think they look good stock. But now I'm not heavily into a lot of, you know, I think Harley Davidson builds a beautiful motorcycle. So I don't think there has to be a whole lot of changes made to their motorcycle itself, if that makes sense. Alright. But yeah, switching gears, that's, you know, that's going to be my personal, you know, preferences, my pros and cons of owning a Road King. That's my review, guys. It just basically comes down to, with this motorcycle, really comes down to personal preference. You can basically take this motorcycle and turn it into anything you want it to be. And I think that's one of the coolest things about the platform. Like I said in a lot of videos, I slept on this platform for a long time. And Hillbilly, don't be mad that I didn't stop by, but I'm kind of in a time crunch right now. I've got lodge tonight. But we're thinking about you, brother. Thinking about you and Jack both. Hope everything's going good there. But now switching gears from the review of the Road King. I had touched on earlier about a video that I've got sitting in my camera of, you know, a brother went down that day riding. And you can kind of tell in that video that I was trying to close the video out, and I was a little bit shook up about it. And, you know, here's the thing. There was no rhyme or reason for him to go down, because I was directly behind him. The road was clean. There wasn't no reflectors in the road. There was no gravel, no dirt. He was in, you know, the right line on the lane to be riding. So there was no reason for him to go down, which it was a low speed go down. We're probably running about like we are now, about 25, 30, because we had slowed down. We had tore loose a little bit, but we had slowed down and we were waiting for the rest of the group to catch up with us. And for whatever reason, man, that bike just laid down. It's like the front end washed out on it. like the front tire kicked out under it, and the tires were fine. As a matter of fact, we got it up, he rode it all the way to Milkman's shop, and it was fine from there out. So it wasn't just an accident, it was a freak accident. It was one of them should have never happened, can't believe it happened, don't know why it happened accidents. But you know, and my brother and Red Dog's fine. He's got road rash. He fractured his foot, broke his thumb. He's eat up in road rash, but it could have been a lot worse than what it was. It could have been a lot worse. But also in our community, Ironhead Sally went down, and I didn't know this until Hillbilly had messaged me last night. I was watching something on YouTube, and I think it was while my video was going on. Of course, I haven't been having premieres the last couple of weeks, but he said, "Did you hear about Sally going down?" And I said, "I did not." So I went over to her community page, saw everything, you know, sent her love from the Rolling with T-Bone crew, let her know we were thinking about her. She was in our thoughts and prayers, and you know, she called it right there. Ironhead Sally called it in the paragraph that she wrote. You know, we know the risks, and I think I want to touch on that here just a little bit. You know, when my brother Red Dog went down the other day, I didn't automatically get off my bike and say I'm never going to ride again. He never got off, said he wasn't going to ride again. In fact, he got right back on the bike and rode it to the shop. And people say, you see all that happening, and yet you still want to ride a motorcycle. Yeah, we do. Because here's the thing, guys, and we have discussed this several different times on this channel, and other pages discuss it, but I'm going to touch on it just a little bit briefly. We know what the risks are. You don't have to constantly tell us what the risks of riding a motorcycle are. We're out here riding them. We know what the risk is. But here's the difference. We accept the risk. We know it's there. We accept it. And we choose not to live in fear of it. Now, accidents happen. Freak accidents happen. Sometimes it's rider error. Sometimes it's mechanical error. Sometimes you can't pin it down as to what causes it. But, you know, we know what the risks are. And we accept the risk. You know, I've said it before in videos. You never know, you know. When you leave your house tomorrow morning, that may be the last time you ever leave your house alive. Whether you're on a motorcycle, in a car, flying a helicopter, or riding in an airplane. Everything you do from the time you wake up in the morning and you make the conscious decision that you are going to leave your house, everything that you do for the rest of that day, you run a risk of dying. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You're literally, every day, you're running a risk of dying. We don't want to, no. I mean, we don't set out with the, yeah, man, but we choose not to live in fear of it. And that's not just bikers that are that way. Anyone who does anything that people would deem to be extreme, hang gliding, bungee jumping, flying a helicopter, flying an airplane, and I'm not talking about commercial, I'm talking about, you know, having a hobby, little two-seater plane or a small gyrocopter, anything, riding in a boat out on the ocean fishing or riding in a bass boat on the lake. Anything you do, you run a risk. And those of us who know that risk and accept that risk, we know the risk there. You don't have to, like I said, you don't ever have to remind us that there's a risk, but we just choose to not be controlled by that risk. We're not going to let the fear of that control us, if that makes sense. But we know the risk, yeah, absolutely. But I believe Sally's going to be okay. She has had a couple of procedures done. I think she's got another surgery. Probably already had it way before this video comes out. But, you know, drop over there and give Ironhead Sally some love. Let her know we're thinking about her and we're rooting for her to get back up on her feet. Because we all understand that one universal fact, and I've said it a million times. There's two types of riders in this world. There are those who's going to go down and those who have already been down. And I fall in that already been down crowd several times. Every accident I've ever had, it sucked. But, you know, it does happen. And eventually you're going to buck the odds enough. You're going to push the odds enough. You're going to bet against the system enough. Eventually, it's going to happen. Even if it was like it was with Red Dog, just a freak accident. No way in the world did it look like it should have happened. No mechanical failure on the motorcycle, because the motorcycle rode all the way back to Milkman's shop just fine. Wasn't no human error, because we were running low speed and we had been riding for a while. So it just shouldn't have happened. Freak accident. But I'll tell you what, guys, I think I'm going to drop this off and say we've got us an episode filmed. I might premiere this episode. I'll let you know, because the day this episode premieres, R1 has a doctor's appointment that day we got to go to. So I might premiere it, I might not. Future T-Bone will have to make that decision. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to drop it off right here. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know every time the Rolling with T-Bone crew is on the air. Drop it up on YouTube. And guys, until the next time, be safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And hey, thanks for watching.